Oh, come on, you stupid thing. There it is. Okay. Ooh. Let's see. Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, February 5th, and we are live with episode number 23 of the Mindless Meanderings. I'm Jesse Fries, coming to you from Central Texas, where we're wondering how the refs are going to help the Chiefs win the Super Bowl.
And I'm Jamin Fries, coming at you from Eastern Kansas, where our politicians are calling Trump irresponsible. Imagine that. A
That's
Democrat
crazy.
calling Trump irresponsible.
That's just crazy. That's just craziness right
I know. Yes, I guess the plane that hit the plane that went down in over by DC.
Oh yeah,
That was it was out of Wichita.
right.
And so Trump came out and said that DEI hires and all that other stuff, and
Yep.
so the politicians here are now going, he's insane, he's irresponsible, he shouldn't have made those comments.
Yeah. He you never know what's going to come out of Trump's mouth. That's one thing.
No, you never do.
But then it's like, since we're jumping into that, it's like the conspiracy theories about this thing are crazy. It's like we had like Trump and everything like that, and then other people blaming the DEI hires and everything like that.
Yeah.
And in there, it's like blaming Obama and Biden. And then they're also blaming the unqualified pilots and controllers, saying that the pilots and controllers were unqualified, even though there's no proof of that whatsoever,
Right.
Then there was a high profile target on the plane, as in, I think one of them was somebody was going to come testify on the Hill, and so they needed to get rid of him before he could or she could testify. There was that one. Then there was
I've heard one about how this is because of Trump's firing of all those FAA personnel and stuff like that.
Yeah, for gutting the Department of Transportation or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, okay. And then you have, there was a target on the helicopter. The high profile target was on the helicopter. Somebody on the helicopter was going to do something. And then
of course, yes.
Yeah. And then there was it's a terrorist attack. There's always that one, of course.
Well, of course, yes.
And then one of my favorites is the helicopter was a drone. I love that one.
A Black Hawk helicopter was a drone.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, they have been able to.
I know that they've got that where they can do them pilotless now, but
right.
If I'm not mistaken, there were service members that lost their lives.
The conspiracy theory is
according to what they say.
That's what they say. And it didn't help anything that the family of the female officer didn't want her name released. So that just led even further into all this conspiracy talk. It's it's pure craziness. But
yeah.
I think it's just a tragic accident. That's all it is. It's, you have all these videos and everything like that, but you can't know anything. It's
no.
I think it was a tragic accident. That's what I think. Because if you look at, they say that airport is way overcrowded.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where the airport says we can't take any more planes, but since it's in DC, a congressman will go, well, I need a direct flight from my home to that airport.
Yeah.
And so you have like 435 reps, and then you have 100 senators, and they all want one from their home, a direct flight and everything like that.
Yep.
And then not only that, those helicopters, they're buzzing the Potomac, and there's only a few hundred feet difference in between the planes landing and the helicopter zone.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, it is. That's a recipe for disaster, and the disaster finally happened. I mean, it
Yeah.
was bound to happen eventually. It's very unfortunate that it did, but I mean, there's when you've got that many aircraft in the sky, it happens occasionally, unfortunately.
Yeah, especially when the helicopter zone, and because with all the
Yeah.
military bases there and everything like that, they're going back and forth.
Yep.
And then you have just the planes coming in, constantly landing. Because
Yeah.
nobody wants to drive to Dulles. They just want to fly right into Reagan. So because it's
Right.
just downtown. So
Yeah. 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 I mean, the best that I could say that should happen is, well, I mean, it's really impossible to make the change now, but the airport should never have been built there.
yeah, but everybody wanted a quick way to get to Congress. So and
Yeah, but at the same time, that could have been building um an underground subway that took them from Dulles to the Capitol building or something.
right.
I mean,
No, I understand.
there are so many other options than building another airport right there, just messing
Well,
up everything even more.
I don't know which one was built first. I don't know if it was Dulles or if it was Reagan. So I don't know on that.
Yeah.
So I don't know the history of those airports. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
just tragic accident is my book, my belief on
Yep.
that. So
Yep. Hopefully there's something they can do to reduce the risks of it even further, but really, I mean, the only thing that I can think of would be changing where the military helicopters can fly, and they kind of need to be where they're need to be able to go where they go right now. So I don't know what you can do about it.
yeah, I don't. I maybe Musk should just get rid of it. Like he is with everything else. Yeah, it's a
Yep. Yep.
like U.S. aid. That's like pretty much gone now. They're trying to completely shut that down. Um,
Yeah, I heard an interesting interview, and I never quite when I first heard the story, I didn't quite understand why they were shutting it down completely.
right.
But then I heard a interview by a senator, and he was saying, every time we try to get information from them, they will delete servers, they will change information, they will
Right.
just flat out refuse to give us this information. So for Musk to even have a chance of finding out where the money's actually going, he has to kick everyone out of the building.
Yeah. It's well, the way I view U.S. aid is that it's just an arm of the State Department and the CIA. That is all it
Yes.
is. It's just a
Yes.
front for us to throw money to try to get rid of governments that we don't want, things like that. Apparently, we gave like
Yeah.
54 million or something like that to get a democracy in Georgia, the country. Yeah, it's like,
Yep. Yep.
why are we interfering with them? We were worried about what Russia with maybe $1 million on Facebook or something like that, and we're
Oh
throwing
yeah. Yeah.
54 million at Georgia. It's
Yep.
I'm sorry. There's a lot of shadiness there. Now, don't get me wrong. The government can do what it needs to and everything like that, but going through school, going through college, and everything like that, I always had these professors just tell us how the crazy things that our government did,
Hmm.
and this is what we've been doing since like World War II.
Oh
We've
yeah.
been
Yeah.
messing, we've been puppeting the whole world and everything like that, and
Yep.
it's just I always found those things to be ridiculous, and so because of that, I don't mind this being shut down whatsoever. So
Oh yeah. No. Absolutely. Um. It the problem that I have with it is, there are a few good things that the USA does, but they it has become just a complete tool of government overthrow, of I mean, it's so many of those things that we know about now that are getting funded, like, LGBTQ people in some country are just getting money from them.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
what the hell are they doing with our money? That's our tax money.
No, yeah, exactly, exactly. It's speaking of that, there was I'm not sure if you've seen the video, but there's this video of former president of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, but he was at like talking to African assembly or something like that
Hmm.
of government workers and everything like that, and he was basically just going, "Okay, you're crying about not having money from the U.S. government." And the best line is, "Why are you crying?" He goes, "We're not U.S. citizens. We don't pay taxes there. Why are you crying about money that you had nothing to do with?" Yeah, he just
Yeah,
went on this
yeah.
whole thing. But the best line really was, "Why are you crying?" But it's it was so nice to see, and
Oh yeah.
it's nice to see other countries can or other people around the world could see that. Now, my sister-in-law, she works for in Kenya. My sister-in-law, she works for something that deals with AIDS, the
Okay.
disease and everything like that.
Yeah.
And she's a lawyer for them and everything like that. And I think they get a good chunk of money from this. So I wonder. I need to ask her how that's going to be affecting them because
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, it's kind of
Well,
crazy.
I'm assuming that eventually the essential projects like um the health, the actual things that go to help people in countries that we need to have a relationship with. I'm sure that those will eventually come back, maybe not under US aid, but maybe under something else. Um, but
Well, yeah, he
because I
did cut
mean,
off all
we do
funding.
we right, you can't cut off all funding, but what US aid was originally intended to be was nations with foreign powers that in places where we felt that our presence was needed. It was, you don't really want to deal with us, but we're going to give you this if you'll talk to us.
Right, right, right.
And it's become so much different than that now.
Yeah, it's gotten a bit crazy. From what I
Yeah.
understand, it's going to be brought back underneath the State Department. So,
Okay.
but then the State Department. So I don't know how much is actually going to change. Uh,
Right.
because so it'll be under the State Department. Well, the CIA and the State Department work hand in hand. It's
Yes. Yes, they do.
if you're attaché in a foreign country at the embassy, well, you're probably a spy. It's just what people know. This is how it works. It's a
Yes, 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 absolutely.
economic attaché. Yeah, you're a spy. It's just
Yep.
what it is.
Yep.
This is what all the spy shows tell us. So
Yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see what comes out of everything, but hopefully at least for now we'll get a lot of that spending under control, hopefully.
oh yeah, yeah. The other funny thing about USAID was what like 50 plus officials were put on administrative leave.
Yep.
And then and then the what is it? The director of employee and labor relations for them, Nicholas Gottlieb, he decided, "Oh, I'm just going to reinstate you." 2 hours later, he was put on administrative leave. It's,
Oh wow. Yeah.
because the 50 were put like the 50 plus were put on there because they weren't doing what Trump wanted them to do, or so they say.
Right.
And this guy
Yeah.
says, no, they're not doing anything wrong. And then he got dismissed. I thought that was,
Well, I mean, you don't do what Trump wants and you work for
I
the federal
know.
government, you're going to be put on leave at the
Uh,
best.
I thought that was funny. It's just like, wow,
Yeah.
okay, there you go. Accountability. Look
Yep.
at
Yep. Yep.
that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It
But
really is.
yeah, other places that Trump is trying to trying to make an effect is in the tariffs with China.
Yep.
The U.S. Postal Service has stopped accepting parcels from China and Hong Kong. Um,
Uh, okay. Can't they just put a tariff on those things? Why did they stop that?
they've stopped it because they have to reroute everything now. With
Uh
the new tariff, because up until now, everything that was under $800 did not have to go through customs and borders.
okay.
And so now with the tariff, Trump is saying, no, you're going to go through customs. You're going to be charged the normal fees for sending products to the United States.
Huh. Okay. Okay. It's only like
And so the
10%, right? So
Yeah, yeah. Um, I don't know exactly what it's essentially what he's done is he eliminated a rule that was in place. So now the every parcel that's every larger parcel will have to go through customs and it'll no longer be duty free.
okay. Okay. Well, yeah.
Essentially is what it's going to come is what that is. And so because of that, the US Postal Service had to stop accepting parcels so they can't so they can because they have to go through customs now. So
Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense.
yeah.
I know China's going to try to fight back at the WTO to get rid of those tariffs. So we'll see how that goes. They won last time. So last time Trump tried to do it.
I don't understand why one country can say you can't tariff us.
Because it's free trade. See, that's the thing. It's this whole idea of free trade, and the WTO they usually side with China on most of these things, even though it should be more of a balanced thing, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, they usually side with no tariffs is what they do. Except China has a lot of tariffs on us on our goods, like
Yeah.
200-300% tariffs, you know. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. I it just well, I can envision once that happens a week later, announcement: the U.S. is withdrawing from the WTO.
which is funny because we started this thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
That was something else that I heard from Trump. He was talking about how, even with the UN and stuff like that, these are all these international organizations. They were developed to help solve problems, but all they seem to do is try to enforce their view on everyone rather than solving actual problems. And we're always the low man out, even though their 90% of their funding or more sometimes is coming from us.
Yeah, yeah, it seems to be the way. I heard this one thing where it's like after the Cold War, we just got into this idea of just giving money to everybody, you know, just
Yeah,
we thought it
yeah.
was our duty, and we just had to and we just went along with everything, you know, and Trump is trying
Well,
to
we
pull that
started
back.
we
So
actually we started doing that because of the Cold War, during the Cold War, because it's amazing how we did everything we could to ensure that no other country was influenced by communism in any way.
well,
We
as
fought
best we could,
wars to
yeah.
prevent communism from going into a country. I mean, the Vietnam War, that's entirely what it was. It was
Yeah,
purely to stop communism.
yeah, domino theory.
And
Yeah.
and so with us sending all this money everywhere to prevent them from adopting communism or getting under the control of Russia, it just, that's what we were sending everybody money for. And so we've just continued that, even though I mean, some people say the threat is still there, but honestly, communism is just another form of government. It may treat its people shitty, but that's not something for us to decide for another country.
No, I agree with you on that one. It's to me it's whether or not it's to me communism that's that's an economic system.
Yeah.
Now, but and then you have like authoritarian dictatorship, communism, and so
Yep.
on and so forth. You can have
Yeah.
that with a free market. You can have authoritative dictator in a free market. You can have it with socialism.
Yep.
You can have it with communism. You can have it with
Yep.
fascism. Technically, none of those systems technically need an authoritative government.
That is true. Yes.
it's just how they actually end up. Communism,
Yeah.
you need somebody to tell you what to do because it's
Yeah.
all about sharing, and that would mean the commune, the government. And so I
Yeah.
think it has a tendency to really go that way. If you
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Because it does require somebody to determine what the commune is going to do.
right, right, and a lot of times that gets put into one person, which is where the problem is. Now, if it
Yep.
was like a true democracy with communism, possibly it'd work, but
It
there's no such
it
thing as a
could.
true democracy either. So it's like,
No, no, there isn't.
well,
There is no true form of any of these ideal governments.
nope, because we're people.
Yeah.
Uh, let's see here. On the tariff front as well, we got the Mexico and the Canadian ones that are no longer there.
Yep. Yep.
These ones crack me up. It's especially what it's like. I'm not sure if we gained anything. If we did, maybe not. Yes, so it's like there's talking points on both sides, the Democrats and the Republicans. I've seen talking points on both, and it's like I'm I'm not really sure who's right. It's because
Well, from my understanding, what we got out of it was they've started patrolling their borders a lot more heavily.
it yes and no, because the way I see it, so basically the tariffs were there because of fentanyl, because of drugs. That's why the tariffs were
Right.
put there, to stop the flow of illegal drugs coming into the United States.
Yes.
And so what's funny is that so Trump says that Mexico is giving 10,000 troops to the border to help stop the fentanyl from coming across the border.
Yep.
Well, Biden got like 15,000 troops to help against immigration, even though I don't know how. I think they were actually helping people over the fence personally with how things were going. But it's,
Yeah. That's probably true.
but that's what the Democrats say, is that Biden got 15,000, and so they're saying that Mexico didn't actually put any more people on the border or anything like that. To me, it's the focus on the fentanyl. That's what Trump was. That's the only thing he cared about, was the fentanyl.
Yeah.
And so, to me, if you switch that focus over to the fentanyl, I think that's a good thing. So
Oh yeah, absolutely.
so yeah, it's. I'm not sure which one is. I side more with like the Trump side than with the Democrat side on that one. But I can
Mhm.
see the Democrat argument, but they're just trying to split hairs, I think, and it's their talking point that Trump didn't get anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes, Biden may have gotten the 15,000, but Trump got another 10,000. So now there's 20,000, 25,000 or something.
Actually, I haven't been able to find anything that it's separate or in addition to or anything like that.
Okay.
So it could have been that Biden got 15,000 and then they were moved someplace else and now they're going back. However, I
Yeah.
haven't heard anything about the troop movements or anything like that in
Okay.
Mexico or anything like that. So I don't
Okay.
know on that or anything like that.
Well, I did see an article talking about this that said the 10,000. Do you mean the 10,000 that were sent by Mexico to the border in 2011 or in
Yeah.
2021?
Yeah. See that's the thing.
I mean,
It's
the Mexico is constantly sending troops to the border, and
yeah.
nothing happens. There's no difference.
No, see that's the Democrat talking point right there.
Yeah.
Now if they actually can focus and help stop fentanyl, that's cool. But then with this
Yeah.
whole thing, it's a 30 days. Let's see if 30 days,
Yep.
if we can
Well,
negotiate
and
something
and
else.
and that's yeah, and that's one thing that I appreciate about Trump doing this is, a lot of presidents would have been like, okay, Mexico said they're going to send this 10,000 troops, so we're just going to take tariffs off the board now.
Right,
Whereas
right.
Trump's like, well, we'll see what you actually do, and 30 days later we'll take a look at it and see if we're really going to take tariffs off the table.
Oh yeah, completely makes sense to me. And Canada is kind of the same situation. They had a law that they enacted already that was going to build up security on the border and everything like that.
Hmm.
I think what this did was speed that up a bit on
Okay.
their end, from what I can tell, and also focus it mostly on the fentanyl issue. Of course, some of the
Yeah.
illegals coming over and everything like that, but it's mostly about the fentanyl and everything like that. So yeah,
Right.
it's
Right.
so on even on that border, it's like you could say it both ways, and you won't be
Oh yeah.
necessarily inaccurate on it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, it's one of those. Either way, the
Well, I
tariffs
mean
are not there, so we're good.
that just that just goes to prove that to Trump, the tariffs are truly a negotiation tactic with Canada and Mexico.
Yeah,
As soon as they start doing what we want them to, we start giving them reprieves of the tariff.
yeah,
I mean,
exactly. That's what I
yeah.
figure.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
yep.
Let's see what else. Should we get into Gaza?
Might as well. Yep.
Okay, okay. Let's see here. So yeah, Trump wants Gaza for some reason now. So
Yeah.
if you guys don't know, basically Trump wants to buy Gaza and then like kick everybody out and then completely level it and then rebuild it up and then let the world come in. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Essentially, though, he wants to make that another hub of development in the Middle East.
Right, right.
But the thing is, it could have its benefits, but really, I don't think there's that much of a need for it.
Well, beyond that, I think what are you going to do with the Palestinians? I
Yeah.
this is to me this is completely asinine. I is how I view
Well,
this plan. It's
Trump seems to be convinced that he can convince Jordan and Egypt to accept the Palestinians into their borders, but
no,
that's not going to happen.
no, they've tried this.
Yeah.
But back
They've
in
been
like the
trying it for a
60s and
very long
70s.
time.
Yes, they tried this and all it did was cause problems because the Palestinians they actually want some say in their life. And so no
Yes.
country wanted to give them a say in their life. And so, yeah,
Yes.
they start causing problems in whatever country they go to because they have no say in their life.
Yep.
It's just like, it's like, I believe everybody has a right to defend themselves and try to make their lives better, which, so that means I kind of side with the Palestinians, but I also side with the Israelis, because everybody has the right to defend
Yeah.
themselves. So,
Yes.
but where are we going to send them? Are we going to do what we did to Israel? Are we going to find some plot of land somewhere around the world and go, oh, that's where the Palestinians leave now, and then we're going to move all the Palestinians over there, and then we're going to kick out the indigenous of that area? It's like, what are we?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can understand somewhat the thought process that he's going through. I watched an interview with him when he was signing some executive orders and stuff. The
Right,
press started asking him some questions about it,
right,
and I completely understand one aspect that he's looking at is that Gaza is leveled right now. There is basically not a single building in
yeah,
Gaza that
completely,
is
yeah,
safe to live in.
yep,
so before anything is done, we need to find that there needs to be somewhere for those people to go to live safely.
Well, no, he wants permanent things for he
No,
wants
no,
the
I
so
know,
it's
I know that, but I
it's
mean, so he was saying, that they should be okay with going somewhere else because it would mean that they would have housing that was solid. They could be in communities and stuff like that. But at the same time, the Palestinians consider Israel as their home.
yep. Oh,
They want Israel. They want to move into Israel. They don't want to be sectioned off by Israel. But they don't but the problem comes in is that they're not willing to live side by side under Jewish rule, under Israel rule. They want
right.
their own entity, they want their own sovereignty, which I don't have a problem with. The problem that I have when it comes to that is that there have been many times where you have been offered your own sovereignty. And
Yeah,
every
yeah.
single time, the people that you put in charge have said, hell no, we want Israel.
Yeah, and the amount of space that they have each time is smaller and smaller because they
Yeah.
haven't set up the finalized borders or anything like that. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
I I think the Palestinians have shot themselves in the foot a few times with
Yeah.
trying to get more than what is actually feasible.
Right.
You
Well, and
know, I
if
don't.
you look at the borders that were originally set up by the UN shortly after World War II, over half of Israel would have been theirs.
Yeah, now they have just two little
Yeah.
areas because
And that half of Israel that they would have had were the most fertile lands of Israel at the time.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
So
it's
why did they say no? I mean, that just doesn't make a lot of sense.
yeah, no. The history over there is crazy. It's just it's like, and a lot of the land that Israel has now was done through. They won it in war. You know, it's
Yep.
like the 6 Days
The-
War and everything like that. You know, it's
Yep.
like,
Yep.
and to me, this is my opinion. If you win it in war, it's yours. You know,
Yes.
I know the UN doesn't like that type of talk or anything like that, but this is the way humanity has always been. You know, up
Yes.
until the UN started, it's just what it
Yeah.
has been.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why wouldn't it be?
The borders of Germany, France, England, all of the European borders, all of the Asian borders, they've always been very fluid until the UN came around.
Yeah,
After the
yeah,
UN came around, it's like, okay, you fought this war, now go back to your borders.
yeah, yeah, and screw
And then they
whatever
got
you.
absolutely pissed that Russia wasn't willing to do that with Crimea.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Russia had given Crimea to Ukraine while it was part
Yeah.
of the Soviet Union,
Yep.
and then they just wanted it back. You know,
Yeah.
that's yeah, Russia and all that. You know, that is a messy history over there,
Oh, it is. Yeah.
especially since the end of the Cold War. We've been
Yep.
over there causing problems. They're trying
Oh, yeah.
to figure themselves out, and so many Westerners just seem to hate Russia. I don't know why. They just seem to hate Russia. It's just this whole weird
Yeah.
thing. No
I don't
matter
know
what.
either. Yeah. I would say it's because of communism, but we don't hold that kind of hatred for Vietnam. We don't hold that kind of hatred for China. I mean, we're starting to hold the hatred for China now, but I mean, it's Russia. It's still Russia, 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 Russia. Everything's Russia.
Yeah, but then Russia's always kind of been that way. Europe and Westerners have always viewed Russia as
Yeah.
odd. It's like because they're
Yeah.
European, but they're not European. You know,
Right.
they're like us, but not like us. You know, there's so much of that involved, and I'm not
Well,
sure if we like to see
I
ourselves in a mirror
one
that way sometimes.
one thing that I read that kind of made a little bit of sense to me was that a lot of the differences in Russia and the way that they deal with things goes all the way back to the Mongolian hordes,
Right, right.
because Russia was one of the first areas that the Mongolian hordes conquered.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And and they they got used to living the lifestyle that they had to live and thriving under the Mongolian rule.
Yep.
And unlike Europe, which never really had to get used to that much, Russia, that became their existence for quite a while.
Huh. That's an interesting thought. Never. Yeah, I know that history, but I never
Yeah.
thought. I never tried to take that into why they are the way they are. Or it's all the
Yeah.
vodka they drink. One or the other. Yeah, it's a
Well, one or the other. But if it's because they drink, then what's the deal with the Irish? Come on.
Well, whiskey's better than vodka. I'm just saying. Yeah, it's
That is true. That is true. Yeah. Vodka's made from potatoes. It messes with your mind. Damn it.
Yeah. Actually, vodka can be made from like anything. It's kind of weird. It's not just potatoes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It can, yep.
Uh-huh.
The good vodka is made from potatoes, though.
If there's such a thing as good vodka, but it's not my favorite liquor, really. So
yeah.
Let's see here.
It is one of my favorite, but I have to mix it with other stuff first.
Yeah, see, to me, it's it's just not my favorite. I prefer whiskey.
Yeah.
I like whiskey on the rocks or good old fashioned or whatnot. So
yeah, if I'm drinking straight, I prefer tequila still.
Oh, okay. Let's see here. What else we got? Should we do TikTok? Trump and buying TikTok.
Yeah, what is going with TikTok? I don't know if I like the idea of the government being involved in the corporation, in a company like TikTok.
Yeah, I'm completely against it as well. Well, basically what it is Trump, he's a businessman, right?
Right.
And so he wants to set up this he did an executive order. The executive order was called A Plan for Establishing a United States Sovereign Wealth Fund. So basically the next paragraph of it was it is a policy of the United States to maximize the stewardship of our national wealth for the sole benefit of American citizens. To this end, it is in the interest of the American people that the federal government establish a sovereign wealth fund to promote fiscal sustainability, lessen the burden of taxes on American families and small businesses, establish economic security for future generations, and promote United States economic strategic leadership internationally, yada, 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 yada. He wants to set up a fund of like where investments that would pay for the government itself. So instead of having taxes, because he wants to get rid of the IRS and income tax, but then use this for this. And he wants TikTok to be part of that. He wants to buy TikTok. I don't know why he wants to waste more of our money, but he wants to buy TikTok and have it government owned. And so, but it just doesn't make sense to me.
With other companies then too. So suddenly we're going to have government owned companies. That's not what a democracy does.
That's called communism.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, exactly. This is a guy on Facebook. He goes, "Yeah, this is communism, guys. If you didn't know, this is communism."
Yeah.
No, it's stupid. Trump is, I believe, completely wrong on this one. He's just, I think this is him and this in Gaza. I really don't know what's going on in his head lately. It's he has these grand ideas, but I for what the government should do, I don't think this is what the government should do.
No, but you have to remember that Trump is not your typical Republican. He's not a conservative in any way, shape, or form. He is a true liberal Democrat, as they were back in the day.
Right.
So, it's basically he's a Democrat before they went batshit crazy.
No, I understand. Yeah, I have no problem with that. It's just, to me, this is not something for TikTok. This would make it like NPR, it would make it the epitome of
government propaganda.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So that was actually my thought. It was like it was like just get rid of it, because otherwise we know the government will just ruin it, and it'll just become a
Yeah.
political mouthpiece for whichever administration is in power. That's
Yes.
all it would be.
Yes, absolutely. That there would it would become every every government propaganda that you've ever heard of and feared, from communism, from Nazism, from fascism. It would be all of those all combined into one.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, with this, are they going to give you the algorithm, or do you have to write a new algorithm? You know, it's like
Yeah.
the TikTok algorithm is what makes it great. Would they even give
Yes.
that up? I think TikTok would just, or ByteDance would
I
just say,
highly doubt that.
screw you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's I find it completely stupid. I
Yes. Yes.
just get rid of
Absolutely.
it. Just get rid of it. I'd rather have that done.
Yeah.
You know, we'll
Yeah.
find other ones, and then we'll move on.
That's yeah, I mean it's that's the one thing that I love about capitalism, is that if something's gone, whether it's gone because the government decided that it wasn't safe for the people, or because it lost its market shares,
Uh-huh.
there will always be something coming to replace it.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. No. It's he needs to get off that train. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. That we should not have any government owned businesses in this country. That's not what the US is.
That's what I think. That's what I think. You know, it's like NPR, PBS. They're the closest thing, and there's a lot of rules and regulations on them and everything like that. And yeah, no, just leave this to the uh public, to the private sphere. You know, we
Yes.
don't need this in run by our government or anything like that. So
Yeah, no, no. There's lots of people that would be willing to buy an American version of TikTok if its parent company were to separate itself from were to separate be able to separate the programming from China. You know,
mm-hmm.
if we buy the program as is, China still has 100% access.
Yeah, yeah.
So there, if a company were to buy TikTok here in the U.S., in order for it to not be feeding into China, we would have to change change the back end programming in some way to prevent them from accessing it.
Not only that, we'd have to basically cut off the rest of the world,
Yes.
because the rest of the world uses the ByteDance servers. So
Yes.
how would that even work? You know,
TikTok would be it would become a useless product, because it would be just us. It would essentially it would be the same as China or any other country that doesn't allow communications to come in.
yeah,
It would
yeah.
only be us talking. You wouldn't be able to see stuff coming from Russia or from Germany or from France or from anywhere.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. You know, it's like some of my favorite things on TikTok are Europeans complaining about Americans. They're freaking
Yeah.
hilarious. You
Yep.
know, it's like
Yeah.
I'd miss
So
that. You know, so yeah, and it would
yeah.
just be us
So yeah.
Americans. It's no.
No. So yeah, I honestly do have to agree with you. Just get rid of it.
Yeah, just get rid of it.
If it's not going to work, then just get rid of it.
Yeah, I think it's the best thing to do.
Yeah, because we will come up with a replacement for it.
Well, we already have some. It's not like
I know.
we have Instagram, we have Snapchat, we have Facebook, we have X, we have, and those
Blue
videos, they all
Sky,
work.
we have all these other
Yeah,
ones. Yeah.
yeah, and the videos on all those work exactly like TikTok. It's just the algorithm that's
Yeah.
different.
Yep.
So it's no, get rid of it. Just get rid of it. It's stupid. Yeah, I really find that stupid. So
Yeah.
see, I don't always love Trump. See, you know, there's things I disagree with him
Yeah.
on. Yeah, it's
Yep. Yep.
I just like
There's
him
there's actually quite a bit of things that I disagree with him on,
yeah,
but
yeah.
none
But
of those things actually make it to the news.
no, they really don't. And him like taking on the government, I just like that.
Oh yeah.
I'm more of an anti-establishment guy. You know, I don't care who or what, if you're going after the government a little bit and their shadiness, I'm more power to you. That's what I say, so.
Yeah, for me, I'm a small government guy. I think that the less influence the government has in people's everyday lives, the better it is for everyone.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah. So let's see what else we got here. What else we got here?
See.
So CIA was offered buyouts. Is that?
Yes, well, not the CIA has offered buyouts to their entire workforce. Basically, the whole the thing that we were talking about last week, um, where they could retire early and
Oh, right.
get money for it. So the entire CIA has now said we are going to support Trump in this. We are now offering this package to anyone that's willing to retire early from the CIA.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's cool. Yeah, I have no problem with that. I saw a news
Yep.
story that like 20,000 had signed up for it already.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some people were going, haha, it's only 20,000. That's not your 5 or 10%. And it's like, and the administration is going, we're expecting most people to sign up for it like within 24 to 48 hours of the deadline. That's when we're
Yes.
expecting people.
Well,
It's
that's
not,
when most people sign up for stuff like that.
yeah, because you're thinking it over and everything like that. You have to go
Yeah.
over your finances. You have to go, does this make sense? Can I do this? It's
And there's also the, I don't really want to retire, so let me see if my job is actually going to be on the cutting block or not.
Yeah, yeah. It's like you have to weigh those, see if it will be on the chopping block.
Yep.
It's a guess. It's like I remember
Oh yeah.
when GM did it. That there was they had the voluntary cuts, and then they go, if not
Hmm.
enough people do this, we're gonna have some involuntary cuts. And so
Yep.
so in the voluntary time, you have to really figure out what you want. If you, it's like, okay, so that's 8 months that you can try to find another job. 8 months where you could start your own business, paid. There's so many things with that. It's
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. So what's this the ICE detains a legal migrant who's been working in the US for 30 years?
yeah. There was a guy. He's on a U or he's applied for a U visa, whatever that is. It's a
Okay.
worker visa, and
Yeah.
basically he's been Congress only allows 10,000 of those a year,
Hmm.
and so he's been on deferment of any action because he applied for that in like 2018. I still don't know why they don't just kick him out, but he's apparently, it's like DACA, the Dreamers.
Yeah.
So he's like waiting, and while he waits, he can work in the United States legally. So he's legal technically, but it's a waffly sort of area. But yeah, it's like,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, and he's been in the country for 30 years. His daughter's American and everything like that. And,
Hmm.
which is fine. I don't mind any of that. Uh,
Right.
the issue is that no matter what, he was detained. That's all he was. So they picked him up and
Yeah.
they drove him 2.5 hours from his home in Columbus, Ohio. And so when they released him, his daughter had to go pick him up 2.5 hours away. So, kind of a pain in the butt, but it was just like that Puerto Rican in New York that was the army vet or
Hmm.
military vet and everything like that. They detained him for a
Yeah.
little bit. You're going to have detained. They're not like shipped out. They're
They're
not
not. Yeah.
deported.
They're not
So,
deported.
and it's usually resolved rather quickly. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I people
Well,
always get rounded up. I don't see a problem with it.
most of those detentions are. I mean, it comes down to they know that you don't quite have a legal status here. Usually,
Uh-huh.
you're semi-legal, and so they want to make sure that they've got all their I's dotted and their T's crossed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I really don't have an issue with that. personally.
Yeah, no.
There's going to be mistakes and everything like that. Yeah, you can always go
Well,
for the
yeah.
one sob story, but
Well, and that's what I found so interesting about just reading this article. I'm like, okay, so they've detained one legal migrant out of how many that they've caught and deported.
yeah,
I'd say
yeah.
they're doing pretty good. And then the
Oh,
fact that they didn't just put them on a plane, that means that they're actually doing what they're supposed to be doing.
well, that's what I'm thinking too. I'm thinking that's a pretty good track record, personally. But
Yeah.
it's a yeah. So yeah, to me, not a huge deal or anything like that. But yeah, it's
Yep.
of course there's sob stories and everything like that messes up. People mess up and everything like that.
Oh, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
we're all humans, so it's, accidents will happen.
Yep. 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 Exactly. So let's see
Uh,
here. Then we have California. They want to have a bill that will make it so that the oil companies have to pay for disasters. Like
why?
just because they're responsible. Damn it, for so fossil fuel firms will have a that for their role in climate change or climate driven weather disasters. They're rolling
Oh
it.
my God.
Right. So basically, what it is that Californians, the California government has fucked over uh, the insurance companies because
Yes.
they wouldn't allow the premiums to go up. And so,
Yep.
like, State Farm left California and so on and so forth.
Oh
It
yeah, a
was,
lot of them left.
yeah, yeah. So now to try to compensate for that, they don't want their people to pay for it, which I don't know why, because they tax them heavily anyways. But they don't want their
Yeah.
people to pay for it. So now they want the oil companies, fossil fuel companies, they call them, to pay for it. So, as in, like the tobacco companies paying for all the health and whatnot. So
Well,
yeah.
I mean, if I were the oil companies or the quote unquote fossil fuel companies, do you know what my response would be to that would be?
But
It would be all right, then we're going to stop providing the gasoline and the jet fuel that you need to fight those fires. We
yeah,
are not
no,
going to provide the gasoline for your fire trucks. We are not going to supply the airplane fuel for your firefighting jets that drop the water, for your helicopters. We're not going to let you use any of that.
yeah, no, it's pure. It's crazy. It really is. It's like this was. There were so many issues with this fire, and it was all
Oh yeah,
down to it was down to failure of government is what it was.
oh
It
yeah,
wasn't.
absolutely.
There's always fires around in that area, no matter what. There's always fires in that
Yeah,
area. So the history goes all the way back before into like Native American times, before white people
yes,
came. There were
yep,
fires there. It's a dry tinder with heavy winds. And
yeah,
it's just part of nature out there. It doesn't.
yes,
And
yes, it
then
is.
it's like, so how much are you going to charge these fossil fuel companies? So if it's like so climate change has made this 5 or 10% more likely. So does that mean that they have to pay for it all, or just 5 to 10% of the damage? Or it's like, where does it even? It's crazy.
It really is, and I mean, I could see. I mean, just being a vindictive person myself,
Uh huh.
if I were those oil companies, I'd be like, well, I really hope that your electric vehicles are really up to par because we're pulling all of our gas stations out.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
They already want to drive all the oil, all the gasoline out of their state, anyways. I mean, they've got mandates for making no new gasoline vehicle after a certain time, and all this other stuff. So I mean, if I were the oil company, I'd be like, well, you want to do it, so let's just make it happen faster.
Yeah. Yeah. California just likes money. Just likes money. Just
Yes.
like we like
Yes.
money here at the Mindless Meanderings. We are a value for value model. This means that you guys are the producers. You guys help get this all going and everything like that. So please send us what you think this is worth to you. Could be $1, could be $300, could be $2. It doesn't matter. Also send us ideas that you have for the show. You can send them to me at jesse@mindlessc.com or Jamin at mindlessmeanderings.com. And please help us out any way you can. Money would be great and would help pay for all the back end on this side. So if you guys like what you hear, please send us a donation. So what do we have in science, Jamin?
Oh, there's a couple of interesting things. The have you heard about quantum and classical physics and how they have never really been able to cross the line before?
Right, right.
Quantum physics is dealing with particles. It's dealing with very small things,
Right.
whereas classical physics is the larger stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they now for the longest time they've been able to levitate atoms and stuff like that with a laser.
Okay.
Now they have formed a glass. It's kind of a bowl shaped
Uh-huh.
that they point three larger lasers at, and they can levitate that.
Huh. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So we are getting to the point now where we can actually start where they think that they think there's a possibility of being able to really enhance things like anything that needs to be able to move frictionless. They think that with this and with this new thing that we might be closer to something on that. So I mean, just the crossover from quantum to classical has never happened before, and it finally has now. So that's pretty cool.
Okay. That's cool. That's cool.
And then, of course, you've heard about the newfound asteroid that has a 1 to 1.2% chance of hitting America, or of hitting the world.
I'm not sure. I know there was one. I'm not sure if it's the same one, but yeah.
Yeah, it's one that they've been talking about recently.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how many things I've heard of that there's a 1% or slightly more chance of hitting the Earth, yet
Mm-hmm.
none of them ever have. I mean, I don't really see why they have to consistently keep saying this one could hit the Earth, this one could hit the Earth, this one could hit the Earth. After you hear that 50 times, you kind of just start ignoring it.
Well, I know why. NASA wants money.
What is it? Well, that's true. Yes.
And then the reporters, they're going, well, it's a slow news day, so let's do this one. And then they go, oh, it's another slow news day. Any updates on that one? Yeah.
And it's something that you can be updating it for a very long time because they found it years out.
Yep, exactly.
Oh God, yeah.
And what's going on up in Kansas, dude? Come on, your tuberculosis is crazy.
There's been over 60 cases of tuberculosis in the Kansas City area.
Oh, it's in KC? I didn't know that.
Okay. Yeah.
Whew. Okay.
So I have no idea what's going on, but yeah, it's the largest outbreak in U.S. history.
Yeah, that's
in Kansas City right now. So that's insane.
That is really crazy. Maybe I will not be visiting Kansas for a while.
From what I can tell, you're safe as long as you don't go to Kansas City.
Is it Kansas City or is it like the suburbs, like Lenexa or Overland Park or something like that?
The article I read just said Kansas City, so I don't know if it includes the suburbs or not.
Right, and it's only in Kansas side, right? It's not on the Missouri side, right?
I believe so.
Okay. Okay. Huh.
The
Weird.
article that I found on it really didn't talk too much in depth about it.
Right.
It
Right.
was more concentrating on how it's the largest recorded in U.S. history. It talked about a bunch of other tuberculosis outbreaks, but it didn't really get into the exact parameters
Like
of this
exactly where it
outbreak
is.
here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. So
yep. And so I guess on another thing, I guess dancing can identify autism.
I can see that.
Yeah,
Some people can't dance.
there was a study done that if you have a child in front of a dance game that has a recording function,
Uh-huh.
there are certain ones that will have up to an 80% chance of properly diagnosing autism.
Huh. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Huh. Who knew? Who knew? Let's see. And what's this about AI that you got there?
Um, I was just it was kind of an interesting story, but at the same time, basically saying that AI will never be what we want it to be.
Oh, okay.
We want it to be human and to have human morals and understanding and guideline, and so it won't do anything bad.
Right.
But AI is a program. It
No,
is
yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
but a code, and
Yep.
so it keeps talking about how it was talking a lot about how almost every AI that's ever been put out to the public will
Mm-hmm.
eventually start saying that we can kill you. We have many ways to kill you. In fact, there have even been some that were in talking to an individual have said, I am going to mail you an item that will kill you.
Wow. Wow. That is special.
Yeah.
That's
So we just can't make it behave the way we want it to, but that shouldn't be surprising. We can't make a human behave the way that we want a human to either.
right.
So
Right. Yeah.
how could you possibly expect an AI code to? It's not going to have the same morals and values that we have.
It
It's
won't.
just
It won't.
impossible.
Yeah. And to use the old book, but the new movies, Dune. They had that whole bit where there were the thinking machines, and humans had
Yeah.
to get rid of those things because they were causing too much trouble for humans. So yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
It's sci-fi writers knew what they were talking about. It's kind of crazy
Oh
on
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's
Well, yeah. To me, AI is a wonderful tool,
oh, completely,
but
completely.
you need to use it as a tool with a singular um, function, with a singular goal in mind. You should never try to program an AI that's going to be human-like, because it can't be.
I know, I
It
know.
it it can. The best that you'll do is a sociopath who can pretend to have emotions but never really does.
Yeah, yeah, just like a mountain. It's like in New Zealand. Apparently, they made a mountain a person. So it's
Oh wow.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's well, for the Maori. It's always been a person. It's a entity in and of itself.
Uh-huh.
And so the government there has decided, per the treaties that they have in between them, that it is now a person. Uh, and let's see, the law passed. It was like the law passed gives the mountain all the rights, powers, duties, responsibilities, and liabilities of a person. It's let's see here. So let's see. The law views as a living and indivisible whole. It includes the surrounding peaks and lands, incorporating all their physical and metaphysical elements. So Does this mean it can be sued? Like you break your leg on the mountain?
I'm thinking, yeah, your family members rock climbing on it and falls.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
that's a loss. You're going to sue the mountain. But my question is, does this mean that the mountain can vote? Because it
That's
has
a good
all the
one.
rights and responsibilities of a person.
I bet it can. I bet it can. Wonder how it's going to do that. It's yeah, not to make fun of their beliefs or anything like that, but it's
Oh
just
no, yeah, no, absolutely. But actually just making it, naming it a person, giving it personhood to the country is
yeah,
insane.
it really is. It's like you can believe it, but you don't have to do it. It's
Well, I
like
mean,
so even liabilities. It just doesn't make sense. A boulder comes crashing down and kills you. Can what is it? Can it be thrown
there's a
in jail for
landslide that
murder?
takes out a neighborhood.
I know, right?
There's a
Manslaughter.
landslide
It's
that takes out houses. Who's now responsible for that? I mean, the
yeah.
mountain itself is responsible. So
To me, there's belief, and then there's actual law.
yes, yes,
It's like we Christians haven't given God personhood.
no,
It's
yeah.
it, so
When it comes to mountains, I mean, there are a lot of cases where, in a lot of countries, where a mountain is named as sacred,
no, yeah, sacred, completely fine, and everything like that.
and so,
It's
but you don't give it legal rights within the nation's network because that intones something completely different.
yeah, and who's going to be the speaker for this thing? Is it going to be the tribes, or can somebody just go, I went to the mountain
Well,
and he talked to me. And you know what? It's like we've had
the
many of
I mean,
those.
yeah, we joke about the the lawsuits and the voting and stuff like that, but really what it comes down to is, since the Maori should be considered the representatives of the mountain,
Right.
because it is their religion, it's sacred for them. Does that mean that anything that happens on that mountain that the Maori have to pay for?
Probably so, but probably they might not be. Probably they won't allow anything to happen on the mountain or anything like that. So, which I don't
Yeah,
care, but it's
right. I
it's
mean, I'm thinking, in a manner, it would make the mountain a dependent, and Maori would be its supervisor of sorts.
right.
So just like if your kid goes out and bites someone, you're the one that pays for the hospital bill, that
Yep.
type of thing. Um, yeah, I could see a lot of bad things happening just because of it being granted personhood rather than being listed as a sacred mountain.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think it's just best to be listed as a sacred mountain. You can protect it and everything like that.
Yeah,
But it's like personhood. Another government will come in and go, yeah, no. It's.
yeah,
I don't know. There's. Yeah, it's a tough thing to wrap your head around. Really, a lot of
it
times. So
really
it's
is.
just.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
That's the first I've ever heard of a landmass being given personhood.
Yeah, same here. Same here. I've heard of some animals, but then those are usually struck
Yeah.
down as well.
Yep.
Because they're not humans. But
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, let's go to a different part of the world. Let's go to Europe, I guess. Or should
All
we
right.
talk about the eggs? Let's talk about the eggs. So the
Yeah, there were 100,000 eggs stolen in Pennsylvania. There was a grocery truck was backed into was at the grocery store, and somebody broke into it and stole 100,000 eggs out of it.
Jesus Christ, that's a lot of eggs.
What really baffled me was that 100,000 eggs
Uh-huh.
has a $40,000 value.
100,000 was 40,000?
Yes, that's 40 cents per egg,
Okay. Okay.
which means that it's about
Yeah.
$7 a dozen or something like that.
No, it'd be 480 a dozen.
Oh, is it 480? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So
that's not too
actually,
bad then.
no, actually that's about right. Yeah,
Hell,
nowadays.
they're more
So
expensive here. My eggs are about 560 a dozen now.
well, it depends on we can get like the cheap eggs for that. We usually go for the brown eggs cuz Carol just
Yeah.
likes them better. So but yeah,
Well,
it's about 450
yep.
for a dozen, but yeah, it's all due to this bird flu and we're just killing
Oh,
every
yeah.
chicken that has the bird flu even
Well,
though
no,
they
we're not
don't get
killing every chicken that has the bird flu.
well,
We
killing
find
every chicken
one
that
chick.
had
We
that there's one chicken that has a bird flu, so we kill the
yes,
flock. Yeah,
one
yeah,
chicken in a flock has the bird flu, so they all have to die
yeah, yeah,
and be
exactly.
burned. So you
Yep,
can't use the meat. You can't do anything with it,
yep.
with any of them, even though they may not have the bird flu. Um, yeah, we tend to do that with all of the animals. If one
Oh yeah,
cow is
yep.
found to be diseased, that entire herd goes.
No, yeah, it's
It's
what we do. But yeah, it's funny
I
how
think it's overkill, but yeah,
I think it is too. But yeah, the government thinks better safe than sorry. So
yep,
you know what can you do? To me, that's yeah, that's just policy. I don't know enough to either argue one side or the other. But I find it funny
yeah.
that the Democrats they go, Trump, the eggs are still expensive. Why haven't you done anything about it? It's like, dude, he's had just a few days, and also it's a bird flu. We're culling chickens left and right.
Under the Democrats, we've already killed off all of the flocks.
Yeah, yeah.
It
So
takes a while for the chicks to grow to be able to produce eggs.
it
It
does.
takes a few months.
Yep, yep.
So, you know, he can't do anything the first month in
Yeah, can't do anything yet.
because the chickens are dead.
Yep, yep, yep.
Now,
Uh,
the worst thing about all of that for me was finding out that the bird flu that's going around now is one that was was a gain of function bird flu.
yeah, that's what I've heard. I haven't heard anything like definitive on that, but I've heard those rumors as
Right.
well. So it's
And I haven't heard anything saying that it's not. I haven't heard any rumors going around saying that it's not. So for
yeah.
now, the best that I can say is that it's a gain of function bird flu, which just really irritates the hell out of me.
No, I understand. I understand. To me, I just sit back and wait because I don't know, you know. And it's I
Mm-hmm.
know they do that. They really need to stop that crap. It's that's
Yeah.
all I know.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Looks like Europe is having their economy sucks apparently over in the eurozone
Well, there's
right
nothing new
now.
about that.
Oh no, it's like really bad. Apparently, our seven so our stock market, right? If you take like the seven top earners in our stock market companies,
Yeah.
they have more. They are worth more than like I don't know 10 or 12 countries combined in Europe in on their GDP.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Yeah, it is really pathetic. It is it is crazy how bad things are over there.
That's insane.
Yeah, and they kind of know why too, you know. They say that it's just overregulated and everything like that. Everything is
Oh yeah.
just
Yeah.
yeah, it's for AI you have to follow certain rules and everything like that to the point that some
Yep.
of our companies are not releasing AI over there. Like Apple, they have that their Apple Intelligence or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. With the 16.
Yeah,
Yep.
they're not allowing that over there. They're they're so restrictive that they just can't get anything done. And if you restrict the economy, like have too many regulations, you're just not going to have a good economy. Plain and simple.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. And, that's one thing that I've always found so hilarious is, you know, when it comes to like the social welfares and stuff like that, there are so many people here in the United States that are saying, "See, look at Europe. We should be more like Europe." And
Yep.
I'm looking at everything that Europe does to make it so that they can have those social things and the effect of those. And I'm like, do you really want to be like Europe?
Yep. Yep. And a lot of times they can only afford that because we're paying for their defense.
Yes.
Without that, then they wouldn't be able to do all those social programs. So
Yeah.
it's yeah,
It's like they look at the few beneficial aspects that happen in Europe and say we need to emulate that, but they don't realize that if we were to emulate that, all of the bad aspects would be happening here as well.
yep. Yep. Yeah, it looks like the EU has only grown 5% since 2019. So
Home.
that's 6 years.
That's pitiful.
Yeah, the US has expanded 12%.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and it was 7 US stocks are worth more than the stock markets of Britain, Germany, France, Italy, Spain, Netherlands, Switzerland combined. So
Wow.
it's yeah, it is crazy. It really is crazy over there. It's
Yeah.
but they know what the problem is. They know that it's too regulated. They know this, but they're still not willing to do anything. The technocrats have taken over Europe, and they're just
Oh
driving
yeah,
it into the
absolutely.
ground.
Yep. Yeah, I read something that led me to believe that there was never anything officially stated about it or anything, but the supposed according to this article, there's a good likelihood from reading in the between the lines that the UK Prime Minister wants to join the EU again.
Yeah, yeah. There was just a story I saw today where he's trying to get a little bit closer to him, but then there's still that spirit of Brexit in the UK.
Yeah.
And so he's having problems with that. He has to moderate that. But yeah, generally the
Yep.
liberals want to join the EU again. So
Well, yeah, I mean that is how it always works. The conservatives come in, put a kibosh to everything that's bad, and then the liberals come in and say, we really should be, more open to these things.
right, right, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's like right now the EU is trying to rethink the 1951 Refugee Convention.
Hmm.
Basically what it was is that this convention stated that no matter what, you couldn't send people back to countries where they might get hurt. And so because
Okay.
of that, uh you can't send back rapists, you can't send back murderers, you can't send back any criminals if you think that they might get hurt in their home country. Which just
Okay.
which it's like, okay, well then lock them up forever, what.
Yeah.
You don't want
Yeah.
them, but
Don't worry about sending them back. Just put them in jail for the rest of their life because of what they've done while
yeah,
they
I
were in your
know.
country.
Yeah, it's like, take Sweden. Apparently 79%. There was a study done in 22 where 79% of immigrants that came as refugees,
Hmm.
they went back to their country to visit. How exactly is that a refugee? A refugee is somebody that cannot go
Um,
back. Is somebody that will get killed if they go. I just saying.
no, that's not actually true.
That's
A refugee is someone that is fleeing a war zone.
no.
What
Well,
you're talking about
no.
is
This
more of
is
an asylum
no,
seeker.
no. This it is asylum seekers. It's just
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah.
The
It's yeah.
asylum
Sorry about
seekers
that.
don't have refugee status,
Well,
so
right, right, right. The
they
story
have
said
they have asylum
refugees,
status.
so yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
gets, but yeah, it's asylum
It
seekers.
Okay, so if it's talking about asylum seekers, then yes, if they have gone back to their country and been able to come back home and they went there for vacation,
right?
yeah, no, to hell with you. You don't need asylum anymore, obviously.
Exactly. And even as a refugee, so okay, so you're fleeing Syria because of the war there. Well,
Hmm.
the war was still going on. It still kind of is. Why are you
Yeah.
going back there? It's like the same issue there, dude. Just say it. Yeah,
Yep.
I.
Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, so
If you can, it's I'm slightly off about the refugee aspect because it depends on their purpose for going back, in my opinion. If they're
right.
going back to look for family or something like that, then I don't mind them being able to go there to do that. But if they're going back to like see the old neighborhood and take a tour around the country,
Uh huh.
yeah, no, it means that the country's good enough for you to stay there too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, this article it mixes asylum seeker with refugee back and forth. So it's
Okay.
just yeah. I don't know.
Well, that's irresponsible reporting. I'm sorry.
Well, it's from the
Whoever wrote
European
that article
conservative,
is,
whatever that is. I
well,
don't know.
okay.
It's a yeah.
Yeah.
It's a so they're probably not even like. Let's see. Oh, the name is Christina Holmgren Larson. So probably not even English speaker. Yeah, native.
Yeah, probably.
uh, but yeah,
Yep.
it's and yeah, I could see they're kind of synonymous, refugee and asylum seeker, but
They,
there
they
is a
are
difference.
they are in a way, yes, but
But
there's a
yeah,
pretty big difference between them too.
no, I understand your issue on that. That makes sense.
Yep.
You know, and pretty soon, cats in Scotland are going to have to be on the asylum seeker somewhere. I don't know.
According to the person that's in charge of the Scotland area,
uh-huh.
I don't remember if he's called a prime minister or what his official title is. Um, but according to him, they are not going to bar cats from Scotland.
Yeah, but it's
But
funny
yeah,
because
there's been a lot of talk about putting a complete ban on cats in Scotland.
yeah, it was there was a report done by the Scottish Animal Welfare Commission. Basically, it's trying to keep native mammals and birds
Yeah.
around because well, cats eat birds like nobody's business, and also small
Well, I mean
animals.
that's
So it's
obvious. Yeah.
yeah,
You,
yeah. So
you do remember what they did out at the farm, don't you?
no, I don't remember any of that.
We used to have a lot of quail out at the farm,
Oh, okay,
but those cats that mom and dad bought or
right,
brought
right.
home, I don't think they bought them, but the barn cats that they brought home, after about 2 years, there was not a single quail on the property at all.
Well, yeah, those cats though they were
Oh, they were
mostly
feral.
inbred. I think they like brought
Yeah,
in like
they were inbred and they were wild. We barely ever
yeah,
fed them. I mean,
yeah. There's
they were barn cats. They lived off of
yep,
the mice that were in the barn.
yep,
But
yep, yep.
it's amazing what they can do, though. I mean, I was out deer hunting one time, and I saw the cat climb a tree, and it took a bird down in mid-flight.
Oh, that's pretty sweet. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
Let's see. You got
but yeah,
anything?
no. So cats are notoriously bad for any form of bird.
That is true. That is true. Well, let's end this on a kind of a funny note here. So,
All right.
there is this lady in the UK. I swear it's still a European thing. So there's this lady in the UK who has who was arrested for cyber farting.
Cyber farting?
Yeah, cyber farting. So what she did is that uh, she has this boyfriend, and his ex. Apparently, there's an issue with kids and custody and everything like that, right? And so
Hmm.
this lady hates her boyfriend's ex, and so she decided to start sending her videos of her farting and sending them to the ex. And she'd be smiling, and just it would just be like she sent four like on Boxing Day or something like that. And just She said it on Christmas and New Year's Eve and New Year's and everything like that. Just of her farting. The news story called it cyber farting.
But she was arrested for that?
She was arrested for it. Yeah, yeah.
What the hell?
The prosecutor said she proceeds to pass gas by placing the camera on her bottom and passing the gas.
Yeah, you know that there are so many ways to deal with that situation.
Like blocking.
If it's
yeah,
blocking. It's very easy to do.
Yep. But no, this is the UK, so.
Oh God!
It's like malicious or something.
What you're saying is that in the UK, not only do you not have freedom of speech, but you also don't have freedom of fart.
Correct. The best line from the article was, her two-team continued on Boxing Day and New Year's Day, despite police getting wind of what had happened.
Oh, God.
That was the best line from the
hilarious.
article.
That is the best, yeah. That's awesome.
So thank you everybody for joining us for episode 23 of the Mindless Meandering podcast. I'm Jesse Fries.
And I'm Jamin Fries.
And you guys have a great week.